Namaste everyone. Very warm welcome to Satsang today. Sadhguru Sri Muji Baba ki Jai. Many times what can happen is that we can start feeling that I've seen the truth, but why does this still continue to happen to me? If you've seen the truth, then you know the answer to all why is consciousness. Sometimes it doesn't feel like it is the right answer. Why? Consciousness. So what I'm saying is that if you see that there is just one being and all that happens, if it happens because of some will, it must be the will of consciousness and consciousness alone. So this why is consciousness. To whom does it happen? Is also consciousness. The consciousness is playing with its own light and projecting this cinema, this movie, for its own purpose. Now, my favorite answer for what is the purpose is, it's a play. There is no purpose. It's just enjoyment of for consciousness itself. But even this can be misunderstood. There is no actual reason. Consciousness cannot even have a need to entertain itself. But compared to the other explanation, this is the one that appeals here the most. Because you can get stuck in this why. Why me? If you see behind the why, usually there's a me lurking. I still me. That's why these days I've been saying replace the why with the who. Now you can't make the excuse that oh, inquiry doesn't appeal to me because you've been inquiring why. You're inquiring why. Then you might as well inquire who. If you inquire who, then the purposelessness, which is not a meaningless nihilism, but a beautiful purposelessness, becomes apparent. So that is freedom. Once you see the meaning of your own reality, once you see the truth about yourself, and the feverishness to derive some meaning from this play of light and sound will start to fade away. Because this play is very compelling. And without the right guidance, to buy the story of the me is also very compelling. It has been designed to be compelling that way. But the good news is that the right guidance has also been designed into the play itself. It can be the form of Arunachala, it can be the form of the beautiful sages, Guruji. It's all part of the grand design of consciousness. To remind itself, because it knows that the play it has designed for itself is so deeply compelling. So then it wants to play with the reminder. All the sages are ultimately saying what is being shared here. It is all just one big misunderstanding about who you are. That's what everybody is saying ultimately. Some might say surrender everything that is happening to you as a way of recognizing this. Some might say inquire into the nature of this I to get to this point. Some might say let go of your mind by following your breath. Some might say chant a mantra. Some might say focus on the activities of the body and be completely with that. Whatever the path might be prescribed, ultimately it is the dropping of this false I, this idea of the limited self. Now, I like to say that this is the easiest because this is your natural state right now. You cannot carry the monkey on your back to the next moment. You have to put it back up. You are free from this monkey of the ego every moment in its most natural way. Now the monkey itself will come and say, no, no, it is not dropped. The minute you buy into this story, it's back on your back. But nobody can truly say that right now, before picking up an ocean, I am an individual entity. Nobody can point to a limitation about themselves without believing in interpretation from the mind. Check this now and notice that some sensations might appear, and the habit is to label these sensations I. Some sensations, body sensations, heart region, could be the boundary of the body. And it might feel like, oh, this is I, this is very familiar. But actually, this is just a condition that we have learned to associate these sensations as I is not our natural state of being. We had to be taught this by our parents and by the mind. Consciousness practiced this. It is practiced egotism, individuality. But naturally, even now, if you see, you will find that the sensations are appearing within you. You are the container of them, the boundaryless container. And no sensation can actually contain you. That's why the sage Ashtavakra can say that you are the shoreless ocean in which the ships of this universe, they come and they go. The universe, no less. You see, not just body. You will start to see that these statements are not big. They are the most obvious. Nothing can contain you. You don't have a start or an end. Now check whether any sensation can actually hurt you or scratch you or dent you in any way, any appearance. We'll call them sensations for now. Perceptions, if you like. What does it touch? Another set of sensations, another set of perceptions. So perceptions, sensations are engaging with themselves in that which we call the world. But there is no me involved in that. The true I remains untouched. Whatever the content of the perception might be. Then comes the invention of the me. But you cannot invent it unless you have a notion about something. Any perception, when you attach a notion to it, has the potential to become the idea of the individuality, the idea of your ego. What are the common interpretations? This sensation should go away. This appearance, whatever it might be, should go away. This appearance should stay. Desire or aversion. Now that this appearance is here, what should I do about it? Doership. So all these notions come like this. And at the root of all of these notions is the core notion of duality. That some appearance is me, another appearance is not me, is separate. Without this subtle labeling, your experience is not that of separation. Naturally, consciousness also could not create a program in which it could forget itself in the right now. So naturally, you see this oneness. Your experience is always of oneness. Your interpretation is that of separation. That's why I say that you have never left the destination. So some of you might then say, Ananta, please now just take away this doubting mind. I'm hearing this report very often now that what you say is completely clear. And in this moment, I see that I am complete. Nowhere to go, nothing to do. I am not limited. But this mind doesn't understand or it doesn't listen. So, can we now let me handle the emails from the mind? The mind is sending you these emails. What is it now? Instant messenger, messenger, WhatsApp messages from the mind. Let me respond to them. You don't have to worry about any of them. This is surrender. You see? This is surrender. Let a higher power take care of this mind. Whatever notion that is offering to you is somebody else's responsibility, is the Sadguru's responsibility. You don't have to check your email. And even if the checking happens, you don't have to worry about it. It could come with the title urgent, urgent, most important, action required. Sometimes at work I used to get email like this. Urgent, urgent, most important, action required. So whatever it might be screaming, just let it be. I'm not prescribing action or inaction, by the way. This has nothing to do with action or inaction. I'm just saying that notice that without picking up a notion, actions can happen or inaction can happen. I'm not prescribing either. Just don't pick up the notion of the me. And let all the emails from the mind be responded to by the Sadguru. That is surrender. If you find that some email is just too compelling, no, this one I have to, then that one, you inquire. The email says that you have to manage your life in some way, make some money, get a job, do something. Or you have to fix a relationship. Then know that if it feels like you have to deal with this one, before you can try and deal with it, check who is the you which has to deal with it. Whose problem is this really? Who is here that owns the money in your bank account? Who is here that has that relationship? And you will not find that. You will only presume that. You will never find it. And your coming to satsang means that you are done with the presumption, done with presuming yourself to be something. That's why you come. So this simple checking, who is the inquiry. So when the email comes, you have to do this, this, and this to make money, to save your relationship, to do something, to find freedom, especially for all of us. Follow these steps, do this. And before we take up the position, just inquire. Does this really apply to the reality of who I am? So the pointing might seem now like, okay, all I have to do is be positionless. You see? And sometimes you might even hear like that. You see? But being positionless is not a doing. Neither is it a non-doing. Who can hear these words? It's neither doing nor non-doing, because we see that it is not, either is not applicable to us in reality. You don't have to take on a doer position or the non-doer position. It is very popular in Advaita to take a non-doer position, but I'm the non-doer. How can I do? What is the I in that? Always the question is, what is the I in that? If it is still perpetuating the false story of the individual I, then whatever position you might take will be squeezed out of you. That is why I keep reminding you that the good news is that if we had to get to this positionlessness, we could not do it. But in every moment, we start positionless. Because the getting to positionlessness is a position. So the contradiction is inherent in the notion itself. If we had to get to it, then already it is a position. But we start empty. That we'll discuss at some other time about time and how that plays a role. So when I say moment, it is not really the moment in time. That's the point, is to see that right now I start empty. What do you want to put in the basket? But that is the good news, no? That even if you do, then there is never a need for any guilt, because you start empty. Another way of saying this, and don't worry about the terminology, because sometimes some of you get upset when I use the term God. But I like the term, so I'll use it. You start as God. Right now, you are God. Don't have to believe it. Whether you believe it or not, whether you like it or not, you are this one being, one consciousness, one self. Just if you want to be technically correct, then one self in his dynamic, whose dynamic aspect is this one being, one consciousness, one God. Now, what's your play? Is your play that I must convince my mind about this? Then that also becomes a position. Is your play, let me see what this mind is saying about it? That also position. Have I got this or not? That is also position. And what to do with them? Don't try to stop them. The mind is a position machine, constantly making you offers. Don't have to stop this vending machine of position. It'll keep trying to sell you something. Let them come and go. And if you do pick up something, no trouble. Because God is here. If God is here, doesn't appeal, then at least you are here. At least you have to be there to doubt your very existence. You see, if you were not there, would you doubt your existence? Now, what is has been misunderstood to be something personal. Some of the common doubts that all of you end up picking up is when the mind comes and says, do you really know this? Do you really see this? And there's a lot of confusion about whether the self is known or not known, whether the self is seen or unseen. So actually, in that moment when you are empty of notion, this is completely known and completely seen, but not the way you think about knowing or seeing. And if knowing only means the way that we have traditionally known things, conceptually or perceptually, then the truth cannot be known. But actually, if you were to broaden the term knowing, then you will see that the truth is the knowingness itself. If you say, I am aware, and I ask you, is this just a concept for you? Or I ask you, did you see this awareness that you were saying, I am aware? Neither. Neither perception nor conception. Yet you are aware. So if your dynamic aspect is coming to this recognition of its own source, then do you feel that the source of this dynamic aspect is some clueless entity? This is a misunderstanding. Awareness is completely self-aware. Knowingness is completely self-knowing, but not in the way we think about these terms. Anyway, some of this sounds too technical or metaphysical or something. You can leave it for now. Just remain in your notionlessness without even the remaining becoming a position. Abide without trying to abide.
Father. In your presence, there's no me. So even when I see that, just like resistance came up just after like, saying those words. I need me in your presence.
Thank you all so much for being in Satsang today. Sadhguru Shri Muji Baba ki Jai.
Jai. Sadhguru Shri Ananta Ji ki Jai.